And we're continuing along. Rosalie loved fashion. She loved the idea that dolls represented certain fashions and styles, and when they were appropriately costumed, it was really important to her. She particularly had a love, I don't know this from her saying it, I know it from observing and working with her collection. She clearly loved dolls that had modeled hairstyles that would represent different periods of time and different fashion eras. In the back is a wonderful, wonderful lady with a very, very rare hairstyle, and it forms into a beautiful loop in the back, very nicely done, with her beautiful bead-encrusted gown. On the other side of her are two very distinctive and unusually featured porcelain dolls with pink-tinted porcelain. They are from Royal Copenhagen models, one with a darker brown hair and one with a light brown. Very, very beautiful, serene kind of expressions, and so rarely found. You just don't find them. Several more examples of the Bisque dolls with sculpted hair. The one in the back she has the hair comb, and she has the fancy bodice, and she has sculpted ears, and she has all the right things. And the smaller one, wow. If you were to sit down and make a list of the rarity points of a doll, this doll would have it all. She has a swivel neck, a flat cut swivel neck with the same matching shoulder plate that goes with it. She has a wonderfully sculpted coronet or luster featured tassel around framing the crown of her head, and it forms into a green snood at the back. And then she has 1, 2, I think I can count 4 levels of decoration on her bodice, ranging from the ruffled ribbons to a zigzag painted magenta ribbon to molded white pearls. Very beautiful. The woman next to her is a very unusual porcelain doll with very distinctive sculpting of the hair. Very, very lovely that it's done. In front is a wonderful French fashion, a kit over wooden body with bisque arms. She has her original boutique label on the front, and she's one of the dolls with a great trunk and trousseau, and I just brought out 2 of the gowns for you to see. So she is, wow, she's a privileged lady, and you would be too if you owned her. She's beautiful in every way, and she has an extraordinary wardrobe. And then we have our gentleman from KPM with his sculpted brown hair. And we have our lovely lady from Lippert and Haas of Schwagenwald in Czechoslovakia. Very, very beautiful and not appreciated enough, in my opinion. They're wonderful, wonderful dolls, very distinctive looks on them. And then we're coming over to the collection of Bates dolls, Lily Bates, and I'm going to talk to you about them just a little bit. Lily Bates, with her husband, Roman, founded the Berlin Arts and Crafts studio named Lily in 1909. And then this was in Berlin, then they've had an adjunct studio in Salzburg, Austria, and that worked in close collaboration with one of the workshops in that area that worked in preserving the natural handcrafts of the area, including sewing of wonderful costumes. Lily Bates designed the dolls. She's the artist who designed the dolls, and she designed the costumes for them. And once she expressed her way she did her costume designs by saying, "I shake my fairy tale tree and let clothes fall from the sun, moon, and stars." This particular series of dolls, I think there are 18 of them at the end of day 1 of the catalog. They were created in just a short 4-year period from 1928 to 1932. And Lily went back to Berlin, and she died a very sad death shortly thereafter. The dolls stayed in Berlin at the Salzburg studio who had made the clothing, and they were discovered there by American art dealer J.H. Hoffmeyer, who was touring Europe at the time. Now, what these dolls are, he acquired the entire collection of the Lily Bates dolls, and they had been modeled to portray notable theatrical and early film stars of the era and costumed to symbolize their persona. He brought the entire collection to America and had it tour the United States for several years. Now, I'm going to tell you that so each one of them is on its original stand with the name of the actress that is portrayed and the date of particular date that he was symbolizing. And they range from the late 1880s until about like the 1930s, and they are extraordinary. And thank you, internet. Take any one of these names, go on the internet and look for images of these people. She did not just take a stock form and decide to dress it. Every one of these is modeled to look like this actual theatrical person. They are extraordinary works of art. Lily Bates just doesn't get the respect that she deserves either. She's kind of there with Grace Story Putnam in my book for not getting the respect she deserves. So now so far, these are such a complicated story about these dolls. We begin in Salzburg, where Lily Bates had her design, and the studio that made the costumes that she designed. And then they come to America with Mr. Hofheimer, and he has them tour America for several years. During that time, while they were exhibited, Ethel Trofhagen, who had her fashion institute in New York, Trofhagen School of Fashion in New York, very famous. And she was a radical herself. She was kind of a renegade designer. She was very avant in what she did, and people poo-pooed her, but she was convinced that American design and fashion could rival that of Paris, and that was what her school was all about. Well, she saw these dolls and she acquired them from him in one fell swoop, and she brought them to New York and she displayed them in the Trofhagen School Museum from 1937 until 1990. All that time she had those dolls stored there. And I'll tell you, every one of these dolls comes with its own leather case that has the name on it and all the travel stickers and visas of where it traveled back and forth from Europe to America. Extraordinary pieces. Well, in 1990, what happened? The Trofhagen School got into financial trouble and they had to sell a lot of things to stay in business, and they had to close the museum. The curator of the museum at the time, Phyllis Spencer, I don't know who this woman was, but I love her. She had learned that the museum was about to sell everything in it in order to fund the struggling school. She determined she was going to preserve these Bates dolls, and she purchased the entire collection intact. She brought them back to her small apartment in New York. I told you there are 19 of them, and they each have a leather case. And you know how small apartments in New York can be. She kept them there for the next decade. Until they were acquired by the Weil Museum of Art. There the collection has rested until now, from 1990 until now. These dolls, now in their 90th year, have lived remarkable lives. They were born of the German art secessionist movement. They flourished in the boom years of the 1920s. They were victims of the Depression-era struggles. They toured art and fashion circles of America, and they were showcased in museums at different times in their life. They are all testaments to the celebrated women who gained fame in the world of theater as works of art by a noted German artist and examples of exemplary fashion design. These are truly one-of-a-kind pieces, each one of them. And which one do you love the most? I personally love this one. I love that costume. Is that gorgeous? But if you see them and you see their names, you see the catalog, start looking some of these people up. They had extraordinary lives. These women were real, every one of these women. Not Lily Bates, yes, I'm celebrating her, and I'm celebrating everybody else along the way, but these women themselves that she chose to do, what great lives they led. I mean, this was so hard to do at the time. They were not just an actress that pinned a costume on them, go up and say your lines. They were so celebrated for their artistry. Many of them founded small touring groups. Many of them actually built theaters in New York. They were fabulous, fascinating people. That's just great knowing about them. And I hope you're lucky to have one or two of them because they are so good. Look at how they interact together don't they look like they're having a conversation? And that is Lily Langtry and Sarah Bernhardt having a conversation. I don't even want to think about what they're saying. Now, I know many of you have been thinking, okay, I love all of those beautiful dolls, and I'm so fascinated to see them, but I love the French bébés. That's what I love, and where I haven't seen any. Well, here we go. we have got them. There are so many, and every one is precious, and there's such a wide variety of them. I'm going to just start right here and show you. This is one of my favorites that she had. The doll is marked SL in big initials on the back of the head, and from research in the French Encyclopedia and Francois Timer's research, Louis Schneider made this. Again, you know, we know dolls of Jumeau and Bru and Steiner and Gaultier, but there were so many small firms, and they largely go unappreciated and unnoticed. And part of the reason for that is there was so much, you would design a doll, and then you would have, for example, you might ask the Gaultier firm to make the Bisque head for you, but it would be your doll. It was an important thing to do, and a lot of these were small, very small studios, and they might have then commissioned a body from someone else. They might do the costuming themselves. A lot of the actual small boutique stores would have dolls made for them. So when you find a mystery doll like this, it's just such a curiosity, and you wish you could find more and more information and digging about things. I tell you, when I go to catalog something now, I am always so grateful, because I just keep thinking of early years when you just didn't have the information that's available today. If you want to take the time to keep digging and digging, you can find most anything you need to find, and it's so precious and wonderful to have. Standing behind her is a very, very lovely doll with a beautiful sign Bru body on her, very, very different face with painted teeth. Next to her is another earlier Bru, and that's known as the circle dot model, because she was designed with a symbol at the back of her head with a circle and a dot within a circle. This girl has a beautiful trousseau and wardrobe that goes with her as well. Standing behind her are Raybury and Delfure with all original costume, and standing up high, a gorgeous, gorgeous model by Leon Casimir Bru, which was presented as an Asian child with her original wig and costume, and very, very beautifully done doll. And now if we want to come down further, we have by Leopold Lambert, we have his crying child holding supposedly the Polichinelle that's making a child cry. He even has the original tears modeled on the face, which is so rare to find. One of my favorite pieces in the entire collection. Oh, I love this. So what do you think? You think you're just looking at a piece of statuary? No, you're not. You are actually looking at the Bru double face doll, and you turn this head around and flip the head, and there he's crying. And I couldn't figure out what he was doing, and then someone looked at it and they said, well, Florence, he's sliding down a hill. It's a snowstorm, and that's what he's using. He's using an old wooden bucket to go sledding in, and of course that's what it is. But look at little details, like even the shoe is modeled as though it was falling off his foot. Absolutely rare and precious piece. A beautiful Bru done here with this very, very gorgeous light brown complexion, golden brown complexion, very, very fine. We have in front a lovely Premier Jumeau with large brown eyes. This one, probably German, but I put her with the French dolls because the costumes that are sewn for her are so superior. And there's about 5 other gowns in addition to this. She has an entire costume and trousseau of really extraordinary ballroom style gowns. Another beautiful early Bru, not early, this one would be from about 1880 period. Very, very lovely. Another Bru back there. The collection is just full of Brus. Another beautiful brown complexion Bru. Very lovely. The Bébé Modèle by Bru with the all wooden articulated body. And right here, almost hidden, 2 little kids by Bru. This is a 2/0 of the Bébé Brevet, his first model Bébé, and then the wonderful size 0 classic face Bru Bébé. I'm going to just turn her a little bit because I think you can't see her face. And she deserves to be seen in all her glory. She's a gorgeous doll. She has her original signed Bru shoes as well. Behind her is an early Jumeau in the original Jumeau factory costume of the gown and coat with a wonderful soutache trim. on it. A little Schmidt bebe is here. And our friend in this bright blue dress, her name is Eugenie. And the reason we know that is Eugenie comes in her original box that is lettered on the front, beautiful lettering, Eugenie, with, get this, a trunk with a covered linen cover with embroidery, and embroidered the name Eugenie, and 5 additional costumes and accessories. An absolutely gorgeous early doll. And who we have down here, falling over from her day on the mountaintop sledding, we have Bluette, which is sold with a large collection of costumes.